All right, it's Wednesday, so let's talk quarterbacks now. And like I do every week, and this week I'm going to break down Derrick Anderson of the Cleveland Browns. And a big reason for it is I'm not sure how many more weeks we're going to get a chance to talk about Derrick Anderson as the starter in Cleveland. Now, when things go good, we got to quit giving the quarterback all the credit. And when things go bad, what's gone wrong with Derrick Anderson isn't just him. But you know what? It all falls on the quarterback or the head coach. That's the way it is. And Brady Quinn, the former #1 in Notre Dame, has been told that he's going to get more work. And you know what that means? When a coach tells that the backup's getting more work and he's a former first-round pick, that means they're losing a little confidence in the guy in front of him. The Cleveland Browns have not won a football game yet. Their offense hasn't done anything, and they got too many weapons. Jamal Lewis, a 1,000-plus yard rusher last year. I think Braylon Edwards is one of the bright young talents in the league, and Kellen Winslow Jr. can flat-out play. That being said, you've still got to put points on the board, and it's the quarterback's job to move them down the field and put points on the board, not play for 60 yards and turn the ball over. Now, Anderson's thrown more interceptions and touchdowns, which is not good, period. And a lot of it comes from him and what he's doing. This team, in my opinion, a 10-win team last year, is too good to be floundering around. Now, they'll bust out and have a game, but Derrick Anderson, he's doing this now, starting to look over your shoulder, whether he admits it or not. That's what happens when you're 0-3 and the first rounder is behind you. And here's what I see when I look at Derrick Anderson. I see a big, strong guy who can throw it. There is no question he can throw it at 6'6", and you know, he's got a live arm. But you know what? For every guy that's got a live arm, there's a whole bunch of them sitting on the sidelines or sitting in their living room watching on Sunday. I believe Derrick Anderson can start in this league consistently, but the Cleveland Browns made a commitment and they expect performance. And here's what Derrick is doing wrong, in my opinion. One is, what happens when you start to feel a little pressure and you're looking over your shoulder and things aren't going well? You grip the ball a little harder. You start to squeeze the ball a little more. And then you start to see things that aren't there. You start thinking that there's 12 and 13 guys on the field on defense when there's not. And then you start to say, I got to make this play, I got to make this play. And then what happens is you don't make that play. And then all of a sudden you start to revert back. You say, well, when I did this, things worked. And you start to fall into bad habits. What happens with Derrick Anderson at times, he's a little bit, because he's big, a lot of times big, tall guys overstride. I'm 6'5", and I know when I played, I did a lot wrong. But when I was going bad, I was overstriding, which means it's like a good baseball hitter. When they overstride, you lose a little strength, and you lose the power of your butt and legs. And it's the same with the quarterback. A strong arm doesn't come from just your arm or, you know, because you got a rubber arm or the torque in your arm. It comes from the torque in the hips and the rotation of the butt and legs and the hips when they rotate. That's where the strong pitchers get theirs. The Roger Clemens, when he's, all these great ones, when they're pitching, Brandon Webb, all of them, when they're throwing the ball right, it's because legs and rear end. It's the same with a quarterback. Look at some of the great quarterbacks, the powerful. Look, Donovan McNabb's the best in the league right now, in my opinion, the way he's playing. And look at his lower body strength and the torque coming off. And Derrick Anderson can throw it because he's got great leverage with that height. But when you start to overstride, the ball sails. When you start to press, your mechanics start to go away. And I've watched him, and I've watched every snap he's taken this year because I want to quarterback. It's important to watch what they're doing. And you start to fall into the habit of staring down because you don't trust yourself. And so you say, okay, I know in my head I got a curl and a flat route that's what I'm supposed to throw. If the curl's not open, I go to the flat. If not, I got a tight end or a running back sitting down for the check down. But he's getting to the point now where he's staring and staring and says, I got to force this, I got to force this. And when he lets it go, he's late. So what happens he at a quarterback, he who hesitates, you're late. And in this league, people drive on the ball and understand how to make a play, not just the defensive backs, but the linebackers. This is a big kid, like I said, who can throw it. But you know what? I know if you can throw it is one thing, but you got to be a good decision maker. So I could sit here and go down through all the mechanical. Well, he's not opening his hips to his left, and he's not striding properly to his right, and he's staring things down. But when you start to press and you start to realize and you start to think you've got to make more plays than you can, things go to hell in a handbasket. And now he's starting to feel it that everything, that the window that's that big, you couldn't, if you were standing that close to it, put a football in it. Yet you feel like you have to because you start to feel the pressure mount that if you don't make a play, nobody on your team is going to make a play. So, and then you watch him now, and then he'll get another start. But if things aren't going well, watch his mechanics and see everything speeding up for him. As a young quarterback, everything you need to turn things from speeding up to slowing down. That's when you finally get it. And just when you start to get it, it's like, okay, that's what it's supposed to be. And he was in that rhythm last year. It's like, you know what, I wasn't expected to be the starter. I almost got cut during training camp, and then he got into a rhythm, and bam, everybody's making a play. And now things are back to speeding up, where everything looks, a little bit too out of hand for him. So mechanically, you watch him when he plays his next game, and they got this game, and then watch him slowly. And if things don't go well this week, don't be surprised if Brady Quinn gets more work and then more work. But he's got to stop the overstriding and he's got to do everything he can to allow the game to take care of itself. If the curl's not open, dump the ball down. These guys get paid to run the football 5, 6, 10 yards after the catch. The quarterback's job is to throw the ball to the right guy, and right now the game has got to the point where to Derrick Anderson, it looks like it's so fast that he's throwing more picks than touchdowns, and he's not reading it out, well, I say reading it out honestly. You know, don't premeditate, and I think a lot of times that's what a quarterback that's struggling does. I've done it. A lot of these guys have done it, where you come to the line of scrimmage and you start to guess, and Derrick Anderson's guessing right now. Like I said, a body like that, man, with an arm like that, things should go successful, and people got to win for him, but he's also got to get to a point where if he has to check it down 15 times in a row, check it down. That's where the confidence comes back. But if he doesn't get his confidence back, the quarterback is nothing without his confidence, and he sure as heck is nothing without the belief of his teammates. And right now, that's starting to waver. I believe Derrick Anderson's a player. The question is, can he be a player, or can he be the player, or is he just a player, meaning another guy? I think Derrick Anderson's better than that, but he better get better mechanically, and he better start to realize that these guys are getting paid to make plays. And when his mechanics get better, and when he doesn't start to speed the game up and starts to slow it down again, Derrick Anderson will have one of those 300-yard, 4-touchdown games. But he's got to do it quickly, and that's where the catch-22 is. He's got to speed it up in his mind that there's a sense of urgency on him and his team, but when the ball is snapped, there can't be too much of a sense of urgency in decision-making because you want to make sure you're making the right decision. That's what I see. Decision-making is not Derrick Anderson's strength this year, unlike last year where it was his biggest strength.
So you think you can tackle a pro? There's only one way to find out. Click on fantasy at opensports.com.